Okay, we're just going to get this camera ready in the last 2 minutes prior to going live at 7 o'clock. Obviously I know we're live now, as it were. What I mean by that is it was advertised for 7 PM, so 7 PM is when I will start delivering content. I'm just going to my little tripods. Having a funny? Oh no, when I sit back it's okay. Let's go for about there. Yes, that will do. Could I do talk with my hands sometimes? So there is room for that. Good. I've got my computer here ready for going live in 1 minute. So that's good, which means that on my computer, if my trial runs have worked correctly, oh, this is interesting. I'll have to click refresh on the computer and see if the video feed appears, because without me seeing the video, I can't see the comments underneath it. And if I can't see comments underneath it, when it comes to answering questions, it's going to be a bit difficult because I'm not a mind... Oh, that's fine. I can now see myself on the computer, although that's interesting. I will be going live in about 60 seconds time. I'm just concerned as to whether or not there must be some sort of time delay on my computer from where I am, because that's bizarre, isn't it? Can you see comments? I'm getting a message direct from Steve. We're about to go live in about 60 seconds time on the subject. There's no such thing as hypnosis. No, I can't. Can somebody make a comment below that video on hypnotherapist go-getters, and we'll see if I can see, because I need to be able to see for later on when we get to questions and answers. Okay. Cool, okay, now thank you. Steve, it says hello. Chris Thompson says you are live now. Christopher Dobson says like, well no, it says like underneath, but thank you. Okay, you're here, you're live, this is good. I will be answering questions, but let me just say, I will not be answering questions until around 20 past 7, about 20 minutes from now. The reason for that is quite simply because I have information I wish to impart to you, and it's a very massive idea. The idea that something that you've been doing for a living or learnt about or spent thousands of pounds for doesn't exist, isn't real. The idea that I'm going to tell you that everything you've learned, well, a lot of it, is wrong, and that you've either been lied to or given the wrong impression by people who frankly don't know what they're talking about, again, is going to offend some people. I apologise in advance. But please bear with me, because we're going to end at 7:45 PM precisely, which is 44 minutes from now precisely. We will be finishing and wrapping up, because Steve Miller's got a thing happening at 8 o'clock tonight here in this group, so we need to finish at 1:45 on the dot. I will stay online though when the live thing has finished for about another hour to type answers to people, but in terms of live question answering, I will answer questions from about 20 past 7 this evening. So where's this idea come from? Well, I'm not going to spend loads of time, because I don't have loads of time, explaining to you why I am qualified to say to you that what I'm saying is true in my experience. Remember, truth is only the majority of the time what you as an individual believe and perceive it to be, and that is very important to all of this. So of course you can choose to ignore everything I'm about to say to you. That is fine. But in my experience, when you realise that hypnosis doesn't exist and it's just an illusion of truth, and that in truth hypnosis only exists in the mind of the believer because it's just pure suggestion and manipulating people's state of mind and environment, then it becomes easier to hypnotise them, which is an ironic paradox. Because when you're not bothered about whether you've got them under or how deep you've got them, are they in a light state, medium state, deep state, a beta state, alpha state, one hell of a bloody state, when you're not bothered about that, and you know that as long as they truly believe that you are a powerful hypnotist. And as long as they truly believe and perceive that this important seeming ritual that you're going to put them through will be beneficial for them, and they've got enough of a commitment to it by way of paying a sizable fee, none of this rubbishy £35 per session, none of that nonsense. When people, are paying you a fee such as I charge, a minimum of £500 sterling, which is in the rounds of about 750, 800 United States dollars for a session. And that's not per session, because I don't see people more than once. Frankly, I would get bored seeing people again and again. There's no need to. All people are looking for is an excuse to change and a permission to change. Okay? They want permission from an authority figure to change. There is an inbuilt human thing in the human condition that we do what authority figures tell us. We're brought up this way from birth, to obey the teacher, the policeman and stuff. And those people that actually rebel against that, actually in later life, that can be the cause of their issues, and they want to conform and feel like they belong and they're normal. And so they still, deep down, I'm explaining thought processes here that are invisible, deep down want an authority figure to say, look, get on with it, pull yourself together. Now, they don't want, at any time, obviously, to be in a position where any self-blame, shame, guilt or regret could be left with them. So in other words, they don't want to walk away from a therapy session or a situation in life and have all the friends and family suddenly say, well, I'll give you an example. Say they wake up in the morning and they go, you know what, today I stopped smoking. They very often will then find that family and friends go, you know what, I've not seen you smoking hours, what's going on? And they say, well, I'm a non-smoker now and I've given up. And people say, well, if it's that easy, why didn't you do it yesterday or last week or the month before? Or this may not be verbalised, but the dynamics of the situation are there and create a psychological environment where the individual is actually set up for failure. Because inwardly they've got self-blame, shame, guilt and regret that deep down they know, even if at only an unconscious, subconscious level, call it what you will, that they could have got off their arse and just gone, you know what, I give up now and buy out a cigarette. Because the moment you stop buying cigarettes, the moment you stop putting money in your mouth and lighting them, you're a non-smoker. It's as simple as that. That's how you stop smoking, you put them out. The only thing that we ever do as therapists is help people not to start again. Or rather, give them the excuse and permission to never start again in a manner where people can't say to them, why didn't you do it sooner? Because they can turn around and go, you know what, I tried, but until I saw this wonderful hypnotist, Jonathan Royal, and he worked his magic and reprogrammed my personal neck-top computer, I wasn't able to do this on my own. And that removes all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from them for not having changed before, so they can't get earache or from the family or friends, and they don't have to feel bad about themselves for not having done it sooner. Because ultimately people are responsible for changing themselves, and it is as easy as that. I don't care what people say. I speak as someone who used to smoke. I decided to stop. I did. I speak as someone who used to be addicted to cocaine. I decided to stop. I did. It is that simple to stop doing something, or it is that simple to start doing something. But people don't allow themselves to, because deep down, and this can be at an unconscious, subconscious level that they're not consciously aware of, they're saying to themselves, but if I do that, people will say, why didn't you do it sooner? And then they'll have all that self-blame, shame, guilt and regret running around making them feel bad. And pain, inner psychological, emotional pain. People obviously will do anything that avoids pain. Okay? They don't want to feel wrong or to blame. So they will seek out an excuse as to why they didn't change further, an excuse as to why they couldn't do it themselves. And that perfect excuse is that they need a hypnotherapist, or a NELPA, or a life coach, or a Tibetan mind coach, or a winky-wanky, arty-farty, or Pierre candler. It doesn't have to be just hypnosis, because all of these are just placebos. All complementary and alternative medicine. Yes, all CAMs, all holistic health is bullshit, other than for placebo and an important seeming ritual. I hope that's upset some people. It's meant to, because the truth often hurts. So, in this process of waking up and you're smelling the coffee, okay, let's get to the key crux here. We are just an authority figure, so we can be the teacher or the parent or the police officer or whatever they pattern match in their mind that tells them, you can do this today. Go forth, multiply, so to speak. That then removes all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from them. We're also the authority figure who is the perceived expert, at least we should be, because we should have marketed ourselves, in a way where we put ourselves on the map. MAPP. Marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion should have been used to create a psychological environment where the client, when they come to you, is already 99.9% cured. And yes, I'm saying cured because I offer a 100% money back, results driven guarantee whenever I see a client. If they come to cure their fear of spiders, say, their phobia, at the end of the session I will take them to the local pet shop where they sell tarantulas and get them to hold one, have it on the hand, get the photograph and the proof to themselves that it's worked, so they can never go back to the way they were before. So, you know, it's about proving things to them, but it's about giving them permission to change, an excuse to change. And also remembering these key things, okay? Every human being on this planet, Maslow, I've got notes up here, M-A-S-L-O-W-S, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very important, okay? In 1943, he published a paper called A Theory of Human Motivation. Now, if you type that into Google, you'll find his hierarchy of needs. I'm not going to go into that. You can do that in your own time. I've kind of altered it slightly and found that from helping people change their life for the better point of view and giving them an excuse to change, permission to change, and removing from them all self-guilt, blame, shame, guilt and regret, giving them a focal point, an important seeming ritual so they can go, you know, I really do need to go through this to change my life, so that they can believe in that and focus on that, so the placebo response can trigger in. Then you've got to remember that people, every human being, needs to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. Now they are, although they sound very similar, they're very different things. Check the dictionary, write these notes down or watch the video when it's at the end at 7:45, you know, it'll be there for playback. Check out the words loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued in a dictionary. They sound similar, but they're so very different. If a human being has a lack in any of those areas, so they don't feel fully loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued, then it will have a knock-on effect. It will. It's fact. It will have a knock-on effect on either their self-confidence, their self-esteem, their self-image, or their self-control. And for self-control, you could also read willpower. Again, those sound similar, but they're very different. Check out the meanings in a dictionary. So that's self-image, self-esteem, self-control, self-image, self-esteem, self-control, which is willpower, and self-confidence. Check out the meanings of those. If there's an imbalance in any of those, it will drive them towards a situation in life where they feel, in some way, even if it's only at an unconscious level, trapped, or scared, or a sense of fear. Or they will feel sad or depressed, or they will experience stress in their life. It will cause some kind of problem because there's an imbalance in their human needs. Now, with that in mind, it's most important for us not just to give a client permission to change, an excuse to change, a focal point, a ritualistic process that seems important so we can trigger off the placebo response and so that they can remove from themselves all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret, but also we need to make them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. Okay, if we can have an important seeming ritualistic process that actually, during that process, makes the client feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, so that in turn it increases their levels of self-confidence, self-esteem, self-image and self-control, aka willpower, to balance those out, then the person's life will have a knock-on effect, and no longer will they feel trapped, in pain, sad, depressed, stressed, in danger and all that negative stuff, but they will move towards positivity, okay? Freedom, happiness, feeling relaxed, calm and in control and good about themselves. And you know, this is not just some fanciful idea. This is something I've tried out, tested and proven over the past 26 years of being a hypnotherapist, and various other titles I've used, such as life transformation expert, magical guru, celebrity life coach. The title doesn't matter. The process remains the same. It's also been tested out by me for over 25 years as a stage hypnotist around the world. And these things I've learned over the past over 37 years by being in the world of show business. Now you think, how's that relevant? Well, let me tell you, I was born on a circus. At the age of 3, I started performing, and my dad, as well as being a circus clown, also did a bed of nails, ladder of daggers, going up a ladder of daggers, fire eating, needles through body, walking on broken glass and walking on fire type act. So I learned the trick behind. We lost the feed there for a moment, but don't worry, I am back. The great thing is that at the end, when we finish, Facebook cut that bit out and the replay has no blips. So yeah, my dad was a circus performer who did bed of nails, fire eating, walking on fire and stuff. And I learned the tricks. Fire eating, for example. If you put a cake in a tin in the oven, you open the oven when it's like several hundred degrees. You can tap the cake for a few seconds or keep your finger on it for a second or two and you feel the warmth, but if you take your finger away after a second or two, you don't get burnt. Tap the tin, which is metal and conducts heat differently, you get burnt and get a blister immediately. It's about conductivity of heat, that is all. The wood, when burnt down to charcoal, if you walk over it at an even pace and don't stop, you don't get burnt. But complete cult religions have been built upon this trick. There are tricks to everything. I learnt the tricks growing up because I also did magic and illusion. I used to do Contacting the Dead shows like Doris Stokes and the American guy, his name escapes me, John, anyway. The point is, it's all bullshit. John Edwards was the name I was thinking of. There's tricks to everything. And when you know those tricks, you can use them with positive intent. Intent is the very important word. Positive intent to help your clients get the fastest possible, long, permanent lasting result that they desire in the shortest space of time possible. If for anything other than weight loss, or some severe emotional high-end issues, you're taking any longer than one session to help people, then frankly you are doing something wrong. I'm going to start asking for questions. I'm going to start answering questions in about 5 minutes, so you can start typing them if you've got any, but I'm not going to answer them for about 5 more minutes. Let me just kind of wrap this little nutshell up. A few resources for you after tonight are the 6 main books I recommend in relation to learning the truth about hypnosis, and they are: number 1, They Call It Hypnosis by Robert A. Baker. Number 2, If This Be Magic, The Forgotten Power of Hypnosis by Guy Lyon Playfair. Number 3, Monsters and Magical Sticks, There's No Such Thing as Hypnosis by Stephen Heller. Number 4, Bad Medicine, Misconceptions and Misuses Revealed from Distance Healing to Vitamin Zero by Christopher Wanjek. Number 5, Trick or Treatment, The Undeniable Facts About Alternative Medicine by Edzard Ernst and Simon Singh. And finally, number 6, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Read those 6 books and you'll learn more about hypnosis than any hypnosis training course you've been on in the past. But not more than if you came on with me. Joking aside, joking aside. People will come out, lots of people on groups will come out with all these fancy sounding names like, oh yes, but Jonathan, what you're saying about it all being placebo and just giving people an excuse to remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from themselves through an important seeming ritual. What about Hebe's law or neuroplasticity? Well, let me tell you, these are just fancy words. Hebe's law, look it up, it's summed up by neurons that fire together, wire together. The opposite would be to say, use it or lose it. It's about connections in the brain. Neuroplasticity is just a fancy name for saying, if you start doing something, the more you do it, the more you make a neurological connection in the brain, and the stronger that is, the more likely you're to do it. So if someone's got an addiction, they've got a very strong neural connection that they're deriving some kind of pleasure from that, and we need to break that and create a stronger one that gives them pleasure through not smoking, for example, and pain if they continue smoking. Or with weight loss, it would be break the current pattern and create a neural diagram connection where they get pleasure from avoiding the sugary fatty foods, for example, and pain by going anywhere near them. So that's it in a nutshell. We're basically using pain and pleasure. We want to, on the negative side, is failure, okay? And failure stands F for frustration, A for aggressiveness, I for insecurity, L for loneliness, U for uncertainty, R for resentment, E for emptiness. All kind of emotions and personality traits people tend to demonstrate when they're in that negative, painful place in life. At the other end of the scale, where we want our clients to be, is positive and pleasure and success. And that stands, S in success stands for a sense of direction, a feeling of self-worth, a goal, a focus in life. U is an understanding. C is for courage. The next C is for calmness and relaxation. E is for esteem, self-esteem. S is for self-confidence, and the next S is for self-acceptance. We as the authority figure give them permission to leave all the crap of the past behind and to move forward. We give them an excuse and permission to change. We give them a focal point and an environment where they can remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from themselves. And then we use the power of suggestion to trigger the placebo response. And I will be answering questions from literally in the next couple of minutes, so start typing them, because then I'll go onto my laptop and start answering. We give them a ritualistic, important seeming process to focus on, so they can believe that they had to do that to change, so that they can deflect any self-blame, shame, guilt or regret. I've been doing this consistently for 26 years in therapy and getting an incredibly high success rate. Look, my pedigree and success around the world you can check out at magicalguru.com, or even better, hypnotherapybootcamp.com. Don't believe me? Go to hypnotherapybootcamp.com, go down that and watch the testimonial videos. Go to the links, read the